My little bunny, let's smile and giggle. My little bunny, let's wriggle and jiggle. My little bunny, let's sing and clap.
This was Maddie and her little brother. She's reading one of his favorite stories, and you can hear he was excited by his babbling at the beginning. We know how children learn speech and that reading stories can be a great tool. But have you ever wondered when we begin to learn language? Most people assume that babies start learning after birth, but scientists believe it actually begins much earlier. Researchers have pondered this question and wanted to test whether babies could learn language before they are born. In 1986, DeCasper and Spence asked the question, would newborn babies be able to recognize a story repeatedly read to them in the womb? This question is important because it provides evidence suggesting when language learning begins. For this experiment, pregnant women were asked to record 3 short children's stories. Afterward, they were assigned one target story to read aloud twice a day in a quiet place whenever they felt their fetus was awake, maintaining a daily log of these readings for the final 6 weeks of pregnancy. Once the baby was born, the researchers then used a clever method to determine what the babies preferred to listen to, a familiar story or an unfamiliar one. Babies naturally suck at different rhythms, so the researchers designed a system where changing their sucking pattern would play different stories through headphones. One story was familiar as the baby had heard it before birth, and one story was completely new. The way researchers tested the baby's sucking rate was with a fancy machine called a high amplitude sucking machine, otherwise known as an HAS machine. This machine turned mechanical pressure of sucking into digital audio triggers. This was the story that was played through the headphones. The infant sucked on a pacifier that was attached to a piece of rubber tubing. When the baby sucked, the air pressure inside the tube was changed. It moved down the pipe into a machine called a volumetric pressure transducer. Don't worry, this machine is simpler than it sounds. It simply converts the pressure to electrical signals. These signals then went to a polygraph machine and a Schmidt trigger. This duo assisted to ignore weak, passive sucks, but the trigger registered a digital click whenever a suck exceeded a predefined strength threshold. These digital clicks were sent to a computer, which tracked exact times between sucks, and this determined the baby's baseline sucking rate. Based on whether the baby sucked faster or slower than their baseline, the computer instantly selected a specific audio file playing the predetermined story associated with that sucking rate. So, what do you think happened? The results were strong. Babies preferred to suck harder, requiring more effort just to hear the familiar story. This happened even when the story was read by a completely new person. So the results were not due to the baby simply preferring his mother's voice. Additionally, babies who had never heard either story before showed no preference. So what do these results show us? The study suggests that rather than entering the world with no language knowledge or experience, babies may already have memories of speech sounds. Importantly, the babies were not simply remembering words. It appeared they were remembering features of the spoken story, such as rhythm, timing, and sound patterns. This may help explain why babies already prefer their mothers shortly after birth. They may be familiar with the mother's speech patterns and features of her voice. The key takeaway from this research is that language learning doesn't begin when a baby says their first word. It may not even wait until birth. It suggests that the foundations of language learning are already developing in the womb. We hope that you enjoyed our little story today and that you learned an exciting new fact in the fascinating world of language psychology. Thank you for watching.